high school a sense of unease and anxiety amid threats towards the Community Hebrew Academy of Toronto.
I hope that everybody takes this as a wake-up call, that this isn't a joke.
3 men were arrested, and the Toronto Police Hate Crimes Unit is now investigating. In a letter sent to families, the school said the individuals approached students and made a threat directed towards the school. No one was injured, no weapons were present.
We're in an anxious period of time. Our community is very concerned about security at this time.
The arrests adding to the rising tensions in some Canadian communities. Police across the country say they are aware of online calls for a global day of action tomorrow, but add there are no credible threats. Though police are stepping up patrols and increasing their presence in communities and around places of worship.
We want to be present in ensuring our communities not only are safe, but we need them to feel safe.
Around the world, people are on high alert. In New York, they're calling in additional police officers, while Jewish schools in some European cities will be closed Friday. In Montreal, the Jewish General Hospital is trying to minimize the number of people on site. An internal memo calls on staff to review all outpatient appointments for Friday and keep only the very essential. It encourages people to work from home. Community leaders are calling on Canadians to help one another feel safe.
Check in with other people, in your places of work or business, at the mall. Let's make sure that as much as we want to be vigilant, we also want to be inclusive and friendly.
The RCMP says it's also monitoring the online threats and is working closely with international law enforcement agencies. Police are encouraging people to be extra vigilant and report any concerning incidents. Sandy.
Here's Heather Butts. Thank you, Heather. Coming up, a long road to justice.
I knew that a man who committed a horrendous crime had done.
The decades-old DNA evidence that cracked a cold case. The search for justice is over in the decades-old cold case of a murdered Canadian woman. Until recently, Sonia Herrock-Stone's killer roamed free. Here's W5's Avery Haynes with how Sonia's struggle in her final moments sealed the killer's fate.
In 1981, Montreal's Sonia Herrock-Stone was found strangled to death in her Carmel, California home.
You could tell she had been violated, just horrible every way. I reached out to see if she was breathing, if I could do something, and I saw that she wasn't.
In her struggle to survive, Sonia managed to take a piece of her killer with her under her fingernail.
He kneeled over her, his face inches away from hers. Fighting for her life. She gets it.
The blood type under her fingernail matched the prime suspect, a neighbor who lived across the street. Michael Glazebrook was charged, but the trial ended in a hung jury.
We had a shaky case. The case that we were able to put on was not ideal. We could not walk away from it. We had too much evidence to walk away from it without giving it a shot.
I knew that a man who committed a horrendous crime had gotten away.
4 decades later, the case has been reopened, and DNA testing finds the odds of it being anyone but Glazebrook is 1 in 46 quadrillion.
The astronomical odds of it being belong to anybody else except for Glazebrook. It creates a huge amount of evidence that proves the only killer and the real killer in that case.
67-year-old Glazebrook has been sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole. Avery Haynes, CTV News, Toronto.
And you can watch more of Avery's report, Who Killed Sonia, tomorrow night on W5, and note the new time slot Friday at 10. And Saskatchewan has pushed ahead with a controversial pronoun policy, introducing the Parents' Bill of Rights.
This government also most certainly supports parents having the opportunity to be involved in their child's school, in their child's classroom, and ultimately in their child's education.
It's a divisive issue, and it's a shame to see the government use divisive politics for political games.
Under the bill, parents must consent to any gender-related name and pronoun changes for students under 16. A judge ruled against the policy, but the province is invoking the notwithstanding clause. Still ahead, mapping out misinformation. The digital battle against the spread of fake reports on the Middle East conflict. As with all modern conflicts, the Israel-Hamas war is also being fought in cyberspace, where the truth is not always what it seems. CTV's Bill Fortier reports.
This video was posted and shared multiple times. The claims shows a Hamas fighter taking down an Israeli helicopter. Fact checkers quickly confirmed this is a scene from a video game. Misinformation and disinformation have run rampant since the war began, mostly on social media.
This content includes unverified information, misinformation, and disinformation, including old footage from this conflict and from other conflicts.
This fake White House memo claiming the U.S. government is sending $8 billion in aid to Israel appears to actually be a doctored version of this one from July, promising $400 million for Ukraine.
Misinformation is spreading like wildfire.
Unverified information can even come from unlikely sources.
Please welcome the President of the United States.
Yesterday, U.S. President Joe Biden said this.
I never really thought that I would see and have confirmed pictures of terrorists, beheading terrorists.
The White House later clarified Biden had not seen such photos. The reports unconfirmed and denied by Hamas.
So it's been really a difficult information landscape just in general.
The group Media Matters says social media platforms are largely to blame, especially X, where owner Elon Musk laid off content moderation staff.
Because of the moves that Musk has made, the mis and disinformation that is percolating around X at this point far exceeds anything that we've seen on other platforms.
The European Union is demanding answers, today making a legally binding request for information on how X is handling misinformation around the conflict. The company says it's taken down or added labels to thousands of posts. Sandy.
After the break, a long-time lottery player finally hits the jackpot, and it's a big one. A trip to the grocery store these days can put a strain on anyone's budget, but one Montreal man walked out with millions. CTV's Vanessa Lee tells us how a simple errand led to extraordinary luck.
When Pierre Richer went into a Montreal grocery store for a crucial ingredient for apple pie, he had no idea it would turn into this much dough.
My daughter went in to go get the pie crust, and I bought the ticket. So without the pie crust being on sale, I wouldn't have went to Super C.
While he has been playing the lottery for decades, he says he wasn't planning to buy a ticket for last Friday's $50 million draw.
But I had 3 tickets in my pocket, so I went to play them. And I asked for 2 Auto Max at the counter, and that's what happened. It cost me $10.
The best investment he has ever made, becoming the 52nd Lotto millionaire in Quebec so far this year.
Are you in shock a little bit? No. Like I said, I feel the same, and, you know, I can't say much more. Just look at me.
Richer works as a driver and shipper at a catering company. The loyal employee was back on the job at 4:30 a.m. Thanksgiving morning.
We had parties, so I had to go and ship the stuff to the job because it was starting early in the morning.
Even in his 60s, he says he isn't retiring just yet, but does have a couple of purchases in mind.
My plan is to buy a house and a new car, and that's basically it.
His dream, he says, is to mow the lawn at that new house, proving perhaps life's simplest pleasures are priceless. Vanessa Lee, CTV News, Montreal.
Thank you for sharing your time with us this Thursday. I'm Sandy Ronaldo for Omar, and all of us at CTV National News. Have a good night. I'll see you soon.
Tonight, an ominous warning, the mass evacuation order issued by Israel to Gaza. The chaos before an expected ground invasion.
Those who want to save their life, please go south.
And the small exit window for trapped Canadians.
There may be an opportunity for individuals to leave.
A constant stream of the wounded.
I managed to see my sister's agony, and then they took her.
Inside the critical situation at Israel's largest hospital. Plus, making a mark on Friday the 13th.
I love it. It's probably my lucky number.
Moving the needle towards a permanent new superstition.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, John Benavali Rao.
Good evening. The deadline has now passed in northern Gaza, where many Palestinians packed up what they could today and fled south, told by the Israeli military to get out within 24 hours ahead of an expected ground offensive. People leaving however they could, some packing into cars impossibly full. The UN said the evacuation of more than 1 million people across a war zone risked a humanitarian disaster. Hamas claims 70 civilians were killed by an Israeli airstrike as they fled Gaza City. This as the Israeli army says it has already launched localized ground raids inside Gaza, searching for hostages taken in Saturday's brutal attack. Coverage with CTV's Heather Wright in Tel Aviv.
In northern Gaza, warnings rained down from the sky today. More than 1 million people being told to get out while they still can, or risk being caught up in an anticipated ground invasion. We are striking our enemies with unprecedented might, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said. I emphasize that this is only the beginning. But Hamas is telling people to stay put, Israel accusing them of using civilians as human shields.
Those who want to save their life, please go south. We are going to destroy Hamas infrastructure.
And as Israeli tanks gather near the border, widespread panic is spreading among aid workers and civilians in the Gaza Strip.
So I'm like, should I evacuate now or should I